Hello there. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, Absolutely Non-League, the show dedicated to everything from the National League North, and National League South. You might be a bit confused here, thinking, Char's in the room with us. Why is she not doing this? Char, bless her, unfortunately, is not feeling quite up to scratch at the moment with her voice. She's still suffering a bit, so she's kindly asked me to take on the reins tonight as much as I can. Char is still going to be a part of it, so we'll try our best as much as we can. Hopefully, bring you a top show. But obviously, I can't do it alone. I've got a very good group of people here with me. More than usual, to be honest with you. I will start off with, if she can speak, of course, our lovely Shah. Shah, how are you? And how's your Monday going?
I'm good, thank you. Don't get me wrong, I'm struggling. I think it's a little bit of illness mixed with too much shouting at Rochdale. Lots going on at the moment, so it is kind of self-inflicted too. But yeah, I'm doing well. I'm saving myself for the National League bit because I have to talk Manny Dizarue.
Exactly.
But I'm good. How are you, Ben? How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, I'm just like, it's very different being on the. I always say it's always different being on the other side. I'm a bit out of practice as you come back, but no, I'm absolutely fine. Got the week off work, so able to just chillax a little bit, really. So I think it's been needed just to recharge. But yeah, I'm all good, thank you, Shah. And then next up, we got our woman that talks everything, Morecambe, and she'll be a very happy one this week. Jen, how are you? And how's your Monday going?
It's all right. It's not bad. Can't complain. I was at work this morning, but I had PT this evening, so that was fun to do after a stressful day at work. But yeah, doing all right. Morecambe's got the first win. Wednesday is going to be a tough one. Let's just put it that way. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, we keep going until we can't anymore.
Yeah, the revival. Hey, we got to believe it's never over till the fat lady sings. There's still plenty of time left, but you never know. This could be the start.
And I can't sing at the minute. I've got a really bad voice. So it's not over yet.
And of course, it wouldn't be just anyone else in the title race. And I think we've done it right here. Shah seems to be on top again. We've also got Morgan in here, who's finally managed to join us with technical issues. Morgan, how are you and how's your Monday going? Morgan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm going good.
Not very well.
Don't kind of hold up throughout the show. We're praying. John might drop in and out, and we'll see what happens. But York won, so I'm happy.
Good stuff. And of course, our show is in collaboration with NL Full Time. We've got not one, but two representatives tonight from NL Full Time, which is brilliant to see. Rob, I know you're going to be in a bit of a happy mood, especially after a great weekend for Aldershot. How are you and how's your Monday been going? How are you and how's your Monday been going?
My Monday's going very well, thank you. I'm hearing you twice a lot. I'm not sure if one of us has got a delay. So I'm hearing you and then I'm hearing you again at the moment, but I'm not quite sure where that problem lies. Really, really good. Thank you. Yes. Things going well on the pitch and all good otherwise. Thank you, Ben. Yeah.
And they're joining us. And I know that's the thing. We had about 5-6 of us have actually had a very good weekend. I know me and you, Joe, are probably going to be the only two that haven't probably had the best weekend we could have had. But nevertheless, how are you and how's your Monday been going?
Yeah, not bad. Better than the weekend. I took myself away from all things National League on the weekend. Went to Swindon to watch them against Crewe. And that seemed like a good decision in the end. But I don't know if any of you watch the overlap. There's always a running joke that Jamie Carragher never shows up when Liverpool lose. But even though Torquay have lost twice in a week against the teams in the bottom four, I'm still here.
Yeah, and I know exactly your pain as well. I've already been down that road in the last week as well. So I'm glad it's not just us anymore. So I feel a little bit better now, and especially when it's one of the top teams as well. But look, no one, it's hard to go to those places like Chippenham and Eastbourne. I've always said that. So, there's no points that are given in this division. So I was sort of feeling a little bit better about myself after that, I have to say. But of course, it's not just us in the group tonight. We've also got our lovely regular viewers. We've got Spenny Van Chris, Evening All. Tonight's show is not a fun one for me. Yeah, we have got a lot on our list. We've got plenty to discuss. We have manager sackings, alleged sprinkler postponed last week, game was postponed last week, and more on the non-league show with NL full time. We've got a lot to cover tonight. I think we were just discussing this actually prior to actually coming on, to be honest. I don't think we've had quite a week like it, to be honest. And it's typical. It's on the week where Shah hasn't got a voice, isn't it? So
I know. It's because I've had to speak so many times about our controversial decision. I think that's it. I've run out of voice.
We've also got Danny as well. Evening, Danny. I hope you're doing okay. Sean as well. Always loves it, doesn't he? Even all Hopu as well. CFAX Chris is here with all the goals as they go in. Yes, I know there's a couple of games going on tonight. Only one in National League South. So apologies, that's why I wasn't on here last week. I was stuck in Chelmsford, so I would have loved to have been watching the Macclesfield game, but unfortunately, priorities had to take over on that occasion. Mr. Luke as well. All right, everyone. 16 wins, no more. What a week I've had. I know it's been much needed anyway. And again, like Morecambe, as everyone's starting to have a little chase packing now, and a Morecambe win for the amazing Jen and Liam. Definitely, that was great to see. Even though I know a couple of the lads down at Eastleigh, that was much needed for the Morecambe guys. Half time, we can see it's Chelmsford 0, Hemel Hempstead 0. Big game in the playoff race at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that as we go along. We've also got Matt in the chat. Hi, Shah and the gang. Hope you've all had a good week. Good to see you in the chat, Matt. Hope you're all doing okay. And also Graham, of course. Graham, one of the OGs. Even everyone would have been here a bit earlier, but had someone from Kingston round to water my garden. Oh, he's already starting it already. We've got to see what's going to come later on, though, in the show. We've mixed it up a little bit. I've also got Inside the Sidelines. How are we doing, guys? Very well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Plenty of guys actually in the chat here. So it seems to be way more than usual.
No.
Talkie, oh boy, yeah, no. Well, we'll get onto that soon, we will, and I think that's the best probably time to start with the National League South. We are mixing it up a little bit this week, so a few surprises in there. But Jen, any standouts for you from over the weekend?
I'd probably have to say Eastbourne, Torquay. I know obviously Joe will go on to it in a second, but yeah, that looked like a very, very exciting game. Obviously not as a Torquay fan, but as an Eastbourne fan, it looked like one of them games that if you were a neutral, you'd really, really enjoy it.
Definitely. I mean, Joe could probably elaborate on that. I think that, we'll come into that, like I say, shortly. A massive win for Eastbourne, and also in a week where it's been very difficult for them, hasn't it? Because they've obviously lost Tommy Widrington. You know, it hasn't been in charge for about 3 or 4 months, maybe not even that. And obviously already got parted company with him last week as Eastbourne maybe start to plan potentially for the Ishmael League. I know they've also mentioned about potentially going part-time. I mean, what are thoughts on that, guys? You know, it comes quite as a shock that he's gone at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I think given the level of investment that the owner, Simon Leslie, has put in to Eastbourne, I think they are the one team that have underachieved the most this season in terms of their league position. Yeah, obviously he came in. I do find it a little bit odd that they've made a decision having backed him with so many of his players that he's had at other clubs, and players, you know, a good nucleus of players, the likes of Archie Taylor, Max Mullins, Goldon Mateo, that have signed for Eastbourne solely to play under Tommy Widrington. So that is an interesting one. But yeah, obviously they've made the change to try and get wins ultimately to keep themselves in the league. And I know it's very early days. It's only one game, but ultimately it's looking like a good decision already.
Yeah, I think it's Robbie Blake, is it now, that's gone in charge for the time being? Obviously, I don't know whether they're looking at another permanent manager for the season's up. I mean, still with 13, 14 games to go, it's still a lot of time in that, everything like for it to change around. But like I said, they need to start getting wins on the board, and that's certainly giving them confidence. I mean, Rob, you're obviously someone that knows Tommy really well, and that. I mean, was you surprised when you saw that news come through?
I'm not probably close enough to it, but possibly so, yeah, because I think although they hadn't been flying or anything, they weren't too many points adrift. And I think with Tommy, he'll set out a team to try and win a game every week. And obviously they've not been winning enough, but I think they had a fighting chance under Tommy to still stay up. But you never know. It's a bit like, you know, when a team comes out on a Saturday, they name the team and some of the supporters in the ground, they go, I can't believe so-and-so's not playing or so-and-so is. We don't know what goes on the inside. We're not there day in, day out. We don't know what discussions, potentially arguments they've had. We don't know how the personalities have got on. So yeah, I'd be sticking a finger in the wind to really say. It raised my eyebrows. I wasn't expecting it so soon. And one thought that went through my head was crazy, isn't it? If you look at, obviously we'll get onto the North later, and Graham Lee leaving Spennymoor, but Graham Lee leaves Spennymoor 5-6 months after Wembley. Tommy's left Aldershot and now left another club 5 or 6 months after Wembley. I think Glasner at Crystal Palace is kind of hanging in there, but he's near enough out on his derriere. After one of the biggest days in some of these clubs' history, football is so short term now, isn't it? Everything, there's no loyalty. It's so fickle. So yeah, I don't know. I think, Joe, were you surprised?
Yeah, I mean, not really. Obviously, given I was, like I said, I was a little bit surprised given that they'd already backed him with players. If he'd been there a couple of months, hadn't been able to bring in players, and was, not getting results, then you could say potentially it was an odd one. But the fact that he'd brought in a good nucleus of players that had played with him before, then it was a surprise.
Somebody's got something in the background, guys. I don't know who it is, but there's definitely like a TV or something on in the background. Can you hear it? Am I the only one that can hear it?
No, I was hearing it, to be fair. I think it's sort of stopped now, I think. No, I think we're all right now.
It's all good. It's all good.
All happening tonight, it is, that's for sure. Sam's also joined us in the chat today, and that's the thing, Mr. Man who didn't know anything about non-league has attended now one of the non-league games, particularly now in the National League South. He went to Maidenhead v Dagenham and Redbridge on Saturday. Well-deserved win for the home supporters. Josh Emerer, former Dagenham and Redbridge, providing the dagger to his former side, and Maidenhead capitalised on a midfield slip, worked it wide. I think he's still running in. Yeah, picks up Liam Dawson with the cutback, and the new scarf has been welled around my head. 100% record with me in attendance. Hey, he's made a start now. I've already been on to Sam saying, like, you got to get yourself down to the Gallagher. So you've done the Maidenhead, you now got to do the Maidstone now, surely. I mean, I would have picked Saturday's game because it was a good one, but we will come on to that. Rob, any standouts for you from over the weekend?
Well, I don't want to touch on one or two games. I think, okay, I'll go with this one. Worthing 4, Slough 1. Okay. We've talked a lot about Slough's resurgence. They pulled right up the table away from trouble under Scotty. And I think Scotty, I'll see if I can get it up actually. He tweeted, and I think it called it really, really well. So they've had an amazing run, and it massively came to an end at Worthing. Equally, Worthing have been really struggling of late for a top team, and suddenly they've managed to turn it round. The bit I remember from Scotty's tweet was Worthing was superb on the day, deserved winners. We lost 4-1. It should have been 8. So yeah, that kind of sums that one up. And Worthing somehow finding the right formula again at the right time, hopefully, if it's not too late.
Yeah, definitely. It almost seems like they went back into prime Worthing mode again after, I think it's 7-8 games they haven't won before that one. So it was a must win for them to just get some, momentum back into that side, because they have been a bit under pressure. And so is Adam Hinchelwood as well. I'm sure he'd be, wouldn't be afraid to admit that. But, when Worthing are in the mood for it, they will score a lot of goals, as we well know. They've been battering teams left, right and centre until sort of the last month or so. So it's a big 3 points for them. And sort of, maybe not say keeps in tabs with the Tigers. They are 8 points off at the moment. It is going to be a bit of an ask, but at least keeps him within, those playoff places, which they were starting to slip down as well. So, yeah, it was important. Yes, Sam, we are looking forward to your little vlog coming out. I can't wait to see it here. I hope, though, one of the Dagenham Redbridge fans makes the cut in there, because all I say is he's a bit of a, I'll see you next Tuesday, but I won't go into that. But
just quickly, Ben, just quickly on that. I know Sam's in the chat, so he can't reply straight away, but I don't know if you or Shah or any of the guys know what was that. Is that local to where Sam lives, or is he on a mission to go to some new grounds or to watch some National League football? Do we know what his reason for being at Maidenhead against Dagenham was?
Well, it's a new series, isn't it? That is doing. I think it's like the 92 and beyond that. I think it is fairly local to him, and I know one of his friends goes watching it, so I think he was doing it for that reason. But
Brilliant.
he's more interested in non-league as well. He does want to visit like a lot of us on the podcast too, and obviously kind of get the bug back because with him obviously being a Manchester United fan, he struggles to travel to get to games because obviously with kids and everything as well. So I think he wants that football buzz back.
Oh, brilliant, Sam. Well, you're definitely welcome at the EBB anytime. We can sort that one out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking forward to that. So plenty of content to come from our Sam the Man, like giving non-league the coverage that he deserves, which we're really grateful for. So thank you for that, Sam. Joe, any standouts from you over the weekend?
Yeah, well, I'm glad actually that Jen took the Eastbourne Torquay game, so I didn't have to talk about it. I'll go with Bath Hampton. Really damaging defeat for Bath. Not wholly surprised, to be honest. I saw them just after the turn of the year when Torquay went to Twerton Park in possibly the worst game of football I've seen for many a year. And I didn't think that they had much about them in that game. Yes, they were missing a couple of players, but they really struggled in that one, particularly going forward. And one thing that you've always associated with Bath is even though they may not be that good going forward, they've always been fairly good defensively. So to lose 4-0 was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, Hampton, I was actually on my way back from the Swindon game because it was a 12:30 kickoff and managed to catch up with quite a few of the Hampton fans that were on their way back through from Bath Spa. And they said they played really well. Bit of a nervy first half, got their noses in front and got a second. And after that, they controlled the game. And I'm really pleased for Alan Dowson because really good guy, really good football person. And Hampton won't go down with him. I don't want to give them the mockers, but they've managed to bring in a couple of really good players. Marcus Dewhurst, obviously one of a number of ex-Aldershot players that Alan Dowson's managed to bring in there. The likes of Max Kretschmar as well, who is a massive signing for them, obviously now as a coach as well. And they've slowly been starting to build a bit of momentum, Hampton. And that's a really statement win for them on the road.
Yeah, it's like I think you're 100% on the money with that, to be honest. Because like say Bath, and the team, they're probably a bit like us in that there's not many goals in the game. There's always going to be one goal that separates it, maybe a 1-0 or 2-1 potentially. And defensively, they've always been very sound. They have, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years, and that was a bit of a shock, particularly at Twerton Park, where they're not normally too bad at home as well. Like they maybe don't win loads of games, but they don't lose many, as far as I can remember. So, and it is like I said, damage defeat. I mean, I know they've got a few games in hand over the teams below them, but Bath really are getting dragged into a relegation battle now, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, yes, they've got, as you say, they've got a couple of games in hand, but it's no good if you lose your games in hand, because that then puts pressure on the games, your regular games, to actually go and win them. And given how close the National League South was last year, we saw the title decided on goal difference. The fact that they've shipped 4 goals to 0, they could potentially go down on goal difference. So that would be the most frustrating thing for me if I was a Bath fan. The fact that they have lost so convincingly, and I suppose the same can be said for Farnborough, who obviously will come on to a really, really bad day at the office for them.
Yeah, I think I watched the highlights today actually, and I must say that some of the defending was pretty appalling, to be honest, for Farnborough, for Enfield's goals. I mean, you've got to give them some credit, to be fair. Like they've been on a difficult run of late. Again, they've sort of been heading towards the relegation trapdoor, albeit there's still 15 games left for them, but it's a huge morale boost for them. I mean, 3-0 up at half-time as well. Play some nice stuff as well, to be honest, at times, but does the pressure now really come on to Spencer Day now? Because I know a lot of fans have his views about it, and they were very, what's the word? Angry after the game. And I mean, I guess you can probably fully understand where they're all coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that doesn't help Farnborough, and obviously, we've only seen Farnborough in this league for a couple of years under Spencer Day, but one thing that I've always found is that the revolving door of players doesn't help. It almost as if there's a player every week in and out. They signed a couple of players in the week before that game against Enfield. I know Alfie Tuck came back in on loan from QPR. And Enfield, they've had a fairly consistent squad. not been getting the results, but ultimately in the end, that that little bit of consistency might pay off, and it certainly is at the moment. That's a couple of wins that they've had recently, and to go and win 5-0 away against a team who, if they finish higher than Farnborough, they'll probably stay up. So, really good day for Government First, and I'm pleased for him because he's. I've only met him once, but he's a really nice chap, and did a fantastic job last year at Enfield to keep them in the league. And given how much money's in the league now, if they do stay up, then he'll be really pleased.
And I'd just like to say thank you to Farnborough for losing 5-0, because guess who Mason's next game is against tomorrow now, and just giving him that perfect morale booster. So thanks, Spencer. I much appreciated. I'm joking, by the way, when I say that. But let's say, looking across other results as well, another big one, I think, at the top end, and one that's probably going under the radar. But I think you mentioned it, Joe, as well. But I don't know what the rest of the panel think. Chesham 4, Ebbsfleet 1. Michael Murray, doing it again. And was it Duncan? Is it? I can't remember his first name now.
Yeah, it was James Duncan and Michael Murray, obviously joint managers. Don't see that often. Obviously, one of our northern joint managers in Bernard and Jono are no longer. So, Duncan and Murray are holding the fort, and what a job they're doing. I mean, given some of the money that is banded around, the fact that they're able to improve on last season, they're in the playoffs now, whisper it quietly, but they're into 7th. And when they conceded first against Ebbsfleet, I did fancy them to come back, because Ebbsfleet, they'd be a really bad dog walker, wouldn't they? Because they can't hold on to a lead. Chesham managed to come back and win that one. So, fair play to them. Good win.
I mean, Jen, what do you sort of think about from an Ebbsfleet point of view? Because a lot of pressure has been put on Josh Wright. I think the fans, were very frustrated after the game. I think he went to go and speak to some of them, and some of them saying, "Look, we're a full-time team in a part-time league," and they were very, very, let's say, emotional after the game. I mean, again, as Joe just alluded to, the amount of money has been put in. I mean, can you understand that frustration from Ebbsfleet supporters?
Yeah, from a Morecambe point of view, I felt the same for the past couple of months. We all know what it was like with Ash. It got very hostile. It got very fans against fans. But there's one thing that I'll never understand is a manager or any of the coaching staff going over to fans. You are asking to have something said to you or something to go on. We've had it with one of our players where he has nearly punched a fan in the face, but I won't say anything more than that. But it's one of them where you need to calm it and just walk away off the pitch. And I get the frustration, especially, like you say, if they're a full-time team in a part-time. It's one of them where the money that's been thrown at them, they shouldn't be struggling at all, in my opinion. And I think they have the right to say what they want to say, because they pay their hard-earned money to go and watch the team that they love. And I know what it's like to be so frustrated with your club and want something to change, and it's not changing. So, yeah, I understand why the fans are upset, but also you shouldn't be going over to them after a game. You're just asking for stuff to be said and things to get flown around and stuff. It's just not. You just need to walk off the pitch and deal with it on a different day.
Yeah,
one thing I would add on that, Ben, and obviously, look, I'm not an Ebbsfleet fan, so I can't profess to know the ins and outs of their clubs more so than they do. But I think, and it's certainly something that I've seen with my own team, Torquay, after the week that we've had, I think there is an entitlement around certain fans that they need to get rid of. And you talk about the fact, I know they came out with it's a full-time team in a part-time league. There's a lot of teams on that list that are full-time. You only have to look down. Chelmsford are full-time, Ebbsfleet, Eastbourne, Torquay, Maidenhead, Dorking, Worthing, all full-time, and probably all got decent budgets. So it's a tough league. So I think Ebbsfleet, I think he's doing a good job, Josh Wright, given a little bit in the similar situation to what Torquay were last year, in that they came down or were, off the back of a poor season and having to rebuild. And he's got them in the playoffs. And if it weren't for a couple of late goals, they'd be virtually in the top, 1 or 2. So I think Ebbsfleet are in a good place. So I'd say stick with him, because I tell you one thing for sure: this is not the time to start turning against your managers with 14 games left to play. So this is the time you need to back your managers and hopefully get them over the line.
Just going back into to the chat, we've got Flawless that's joined us in the chat tonight. Thank you, Flawless. I know you and Shah have been doing some bit of podding together quite recently, haven't you? So it's nice of you to join us tonight.
He's probably the reason my throat's gone. I'm blaming him completely for getting me on his shows. I'm only joking. If anybody hasn't subscribed to his content, though, definitely do. Honestly, he's one of the nice guys in the content creation world. He always gives people a platform as well, especially the lower league fans, because it's something not a lot of people do often. So just shout out to him.
Definitely, guys. I need to actually start watching the content. I think I've seen you getting on a couple of the live streams and that. Actually, I need to probably catch up on that. To be honest,
You do, Ben. You do. Where have you been? What have you been doing?
I know. Do you know what? I don't even know what day of the week it is sometimes anymore. Where I'm watching my content, you see. Rob, any other sort of standouts? I mean, there's a big one obviously at the top. Tottenham beating Hornchurch. Is that a missed opportunity for Hornchurch in the title race?
It's a missed opportunity for Luke because Tottenham got that goal. There's no nil-nils in this division. I just counted up 43 goals in the National League South. Yeah, it was a good. You had a few clubs switch around their form, didn't you? This is another one. Tottenham has struggled for wins of late, and Hornchurch, admittedly not in the best of form, but right up there. And maybe we can just link this in to asking you about the game you were at. But if you take the top three, which just a lazy look at the table says it might be the title race between those three, two of them lost. We've talked about Torquay already, Hornchurch losing at Tottenham. And then we come to the other game that was your game that you were at, Maidstone and Dorking. And from the outside looking in 1-1, it doesn't really tell you a lot about that game, does it? Tell us more.
It was a very entertaining game, actually, and probably one of the more entertaining games I've watched this season. I mean, you know what you're going to get with Dorking. They're excellent at what they do. They're very well drilled. They're very well organised. They cause a lot of problems down the wings. And look, I take Mark Point's, review of the game and say, look, this is a Dorking side that are virtually on their knees because of the amount of injuries they got. I mean, I only looked in, our stands to see who the likes they had, Dan Gallagher out, Paul McCallum, Charlie Carter, that's already three big players, you're missing. And, they had a strong enough lineup. Don't get me wrong. I think they had a strong enough lineup to win the game. But I think the trouble is they didn't have enough subs they could call upon to change the game. But I think, as much as he says that, I think I've got to give our boys a lot of credit because they have come under a lot of pressure. Obviously, after losing to the two bottom teams, they picked up a big point at Chelmsford last week, even though we didn't play very well at all. We scored our only shot on target. But then, look, we went behind. Jason Pryor always scores against us every time, and no different this time. A header at the back post. Poor mark from our part, but to be honest, a great cross from Frank Vincent. And really, for the first half hour, they probably controlled the game, to be honest. I think in terms of possession, we didn't really ask enough questions of them. But towards the end of the half, we started to come into our own. Jeffrey Tanga pulled off a great save from Harrison Fawkes, who, by the way, was their man of the match. He made some outstanding saves in the game, particularly one from Tanga in the second half. But one player, obviously, I'm really pleased for is Mohamedou Fall. He's been a bit frustrated. I think like his first 6-7 games he's been involved, he hasn't scored, and it has been a sort of pre-season for him because he's come back from having played in Ireland where he didn't get a lot of game time, and their season finishes a different time to us. So it was always going to be a little bit of a pre-season for him. And, he's fast. He's just started fasting as well with Ramadan, obviously just starting. So obviously he said he was feeling after 55, 60 minutes, but just before he got taken off, managed to get his first goal since returning to the club. I'm so pleased because he's a terrific guy to have around and you need a goal scorer. And he's been getting to situations, but he just hasn't been able to take them and, really just get his shot off. But, took it on this occasion. But like I said, we had more than enough chances. We probably should have had a penalty as well. Riley Court was taken out just inside the box by Luke Moore. Ref gave a free kick outside the box. We just don't seem to get luck with Dorking when it comes to penalties. But it's a good point for us. I mean, we'd be disappointed we didn't take all three. And when Dorking will look at the title race, having seen obviously both Torquay and Hornchurch lose, there might have been a bit of sign of relief that they've still got that advantage at the top. Look, they're 6 points clear. So it's not it's certainly not the equation. But I know Mark White's responded by getting a couple of players in to try and help them and just get that squad development, because that's the thing. I think they just really struggled towards the end legs wise, and I can't blame them because they didn't have many options to go by. That's for sure. But great point.
Pinchard and Vincent, Liam Vincent to join Frankie there. Joe, tell us a bit more about those two players. I think Pinchard is from Gloucester.
Yeah, so Harry Pinchard's been playing in midfield for Gloucester, one of the better passing teams in the Southern League. And so you would imagine he would fit in quite nicely for a Dorking side who are fairly good passing team themselves, can play as a number 6 or as a number 8. So they always seem to have quite a lot of volatility in that Dorking midfield with injuries and suspensions. So another useful option after George Knight, who a recent signing, he got himself sent off, so he'll miss 3 games. But yeah, good signing. And then Liam Vincent, you can only have one Vincent, 2's even better. And a little bit of a similar player, to be honest. Can play anywhere down that left-hand side. Used to be at Portsmouth under Danny Cowley. Predominantly played at left back, but in that wing back role will be a nice fit for Dawkins. So I think they'll win it, to be honest. I know there is still a lot of football left to be played, but if there's the one team that you wouldn't want to try and chase in this position, it's Dorking. Mark White's been there and done it before, and that's ultimately why he's kept together the squad he has done. He's got players that have got wins under their belt at this level and got promotions from the league before, so they're in a good place.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree. I mean, you obviously, we always talk about the old saying of that strikers can, score the goals, that gets you promoted, but goalkeepers and defences win you titles. And, Harrison Fawkes had an outstanding game. I mean, probably the best goalkeeper I've seen this season in the division, I have to say, in terms of his, claiming from set pieces. Every time we put a set piece in, always there first before any of our defenders or strikers. It was actually getting quite annoying, to be honest. And then he's made 2 outstanding saves from Jeffrey Tanga to keep it at 1-0. And I think Dorking, when they look back and, towards the end of the season, if they do win the league, they would have looked at it as a huge point, considering the circumstances that they're in the moment with the amount of players they've got out. I mean, I would have hated to have thought, what the score would have been had they had all those players available, because there's so much firepower that they were missing. I mean, Charlie Carr, I think, for me, probably the best player in the league. I have always, probably said that about him. He's, he's so good technically, can pop up with goals, and his creativity is second to none from opinion. I mean, this is every time I've watched him anyway. I know everyone's probably got different views about it, but I always thought he was just, a level above the National League South. So
100%.
Yeah, definitely in a good place still, Dorking. But taking it just down a slight, I mean, did you want to touch on Torquay's result, Joe? I mean, obviously, there's a lot that's gone on, obviously, not just in the game, but after the game as well. Tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, a lot supposedly went on after the game, let's say. The game itself, I'm not wholly surprised. I think it's easy to say after the game, but I always thought it would be a tough game. Obviously, getting rid of Tommy, bringing in Robbie Blake that was there before. How many times have we seen a team sack their manager and then go and win the next game? And I expected more from Eastbourne than they've shown under Tommy Widrington, because they have got some good players. And one of those was probably the difference in the game in George Alexander, who is probably the best striker, bar 1 or 2 in this league. So if you give up the chances that Torquay did, a free header in the box and a back pass to the goalie, which didn't get there, and straight to him, then you're always going to be kicking yourself. And Eastbourne were worthy winners. So I can't take that away from them. Obviously, the elephant in the room is the coach. Obviously, the drama that unfolded with that. I've since spoken to a couple of people from Torquay, from the management team and the squad. They were unaware that the change had even been made until after the game. So I think it was overblown, the situation, in truth. I think on another day, if Torquay win that game, I don't think anything's made of it.
Yeah.
And I think it was a core of fans who were probably a little bit agitated, the fact that we'd lost against a team in the bottom 4 for the second time in a week. So, for Torquay, it comes not easy now, because we got Worthing on Tuesday night. So having failed to beat Chippenham and Eastbourne, then it's certainly not the sort of game you'd want, perhaps. But yeah, not a good week for us. But we still sit second. I think that's what I need to. I've been reminding quite a lot of Torquay fans this week. We are still second. I almost had to take a double check at the table when I read all the stuff on Facebook to see that we're not actually 23rd. So, yeah, we're in a good spot, work to do, but not the best week.
No, exactly. But I think you've just alluded to the fact that, you go and lose to the teams like Chippenhams and Eastbourne, like we've done as well. And then all of a sudden you go and perform against the top teams, like we did against Torquay, where we probably feel like we should have won the game. So, against Worthing tomorrow, Torquay probably pop up with a 2-0 win, and then everything's all rosy again. It's funny how football works, isn't it? How fickle fans can be. So,
yeah, when you look at the results, we've struggled against the bottom teams this year, but we've actually done really well against Touchwood, against the top teams. Yeah. We've beaten Worthing at home. We've beaten Western-super-Mare. We've beaten Ebbsfleet. So, yes, our away record is not as good as our home record, but I don't think many teams in the league are better on the road than they are at home. So, it'll be a tough test because although it's their first win in probably 8 or 9 for Worthing, they're still a good side, and they've got some really good players. So it'll be a tough game. But as the cliche goes, every game's a tough game.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about that. I think I don't think there's anything else probably too much, good with the Horsham as well against Hemel Hempstead.
Yeah, Horsham Hemel, wasn't it, Sean?
Sorry, I let you down, Sean, with my H's.
I pronounce my H's now, I'll have you all know. I'm posh.
Just give us a Horsham Hemel, just so we can hear it, Sean. Horsham Hemel.
Horsham Hemel.
Very good. Very good.
Posh.
Just potentially the other thing just to touch on, I don't know whether we did it last Monday, obviously with the live stream, but Dagenham, obviously with their takeover, new ownership, really interesting one. Anwar Udin, a coach that Rob and I know perhaps a bit loosely from his time at England Sea, bit of a legend at Dagenham in his playing days. He's gone back there as chairman. Obviously not the result they wanted, but another new chapter for Dagenham.
But I have to say as well, they're probably coming at sort of the right time a little bit, because they have seemed to be on the up again a bit more. I mean, look, they are well short of where they should be as a club, in this division. But I have to say, and I mean, even though I'm not his biggest fan, Lee Bradbury, has pulled out of the bag in recent weeks. I mean, they have been on a good run of form. They have lost a few points here and there, maybe in the last couple of weeks, but there's the thing. I think Dagenham are in that stage now where they just need a bit of stability now, don't they? And to get everyone back on side, get a bit new life in, and then hopefully, for their sports for next season, they can go for it and get a real title challenge. Because for a club of their stature, in the greatest respect possible to a lot of teams in this league, they should be up there. But, there's no God-given right to be up there, and they've got to earn that again, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like Lee Bradbury. I think, yes, they have underperformed, but I think Dagenham this year are very much like Torquay last year. I mean, it's virtually a whole new squad for Dagenham. So I think whilst they haven't been that great to watch in terms of the football, I think Lee Bradbury's just tried to put together a team that will work hard and try and get results. So, a bit of a slow burner so far, but on the up.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Graham. We will have no more Shah H slander, please. Yeah, she's dead posh, is our Shah. Yeah, I do agree with that now. She has stepped it up recently.
That's why I have no voice. I've been practicing my H's.
You said Hemel about 1,000 times. I think I need to stop doing that.
Hemel. It's a Hempstead. It's a Hempstead where I turn feral. Hempstead.
I can see where you go wrong. You can go wrong with it, to be honest. It isn't as easy as it looks, is it?
Exactly.
Is there anyone else wants to talk to the National League South? Are we all pretty happy? No? Good. That leads us up to the league table. So sitting top of the table at the moment are Dorking Wanderers with 63 points. Second place are Torquay United with 60 points. I think it's 57 actually. I must say, 57 points on my watch. I think it is.
I wish it was 60.
I think we all do, yeah. And then you got Hornchurch just below on 56 points in third. Worthing sitting fourth with 55 points. Ebbsfleet United fifth with 54 points. Weston-super-Mare 6th on 53 points, and Cheshire United 7th on 52 points. And in the bottom 4, we have 21st Enfield Town with 29 points, Farnborough sitting on the same amount of points in 22nd, and then Chippenham as well, 23rd on 29 points, and bottom of the table are Eastbourne Borough with 25 points. A lot of work to do there for the sports down there. Leads us on to, I think it's the National League, if I'm not mistaken. It is indeed. Jen, any standouts for you from the National League?
No, I won't talk about us first. I wanted to talk about Sutton and Willstone first.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a huge shock to me that Sam Cox has been sacked from Willstone. I think that man is great, personally. But he had such a good start to the season. Like, he was flying at the start of the season, and then he kind of dropped off a little bit. And I know they've lost a few games here and there, and they are, I think, the 17th at the minute, so they are in and around the relegation zone. But when that came through that he got sacked after Sutton thrashed them 3-0, I think it was a huge surprise. And it's a bit of mixed reviews on social media as well. There's a lot of people saying, yeah, it's the right thing. And then some people saying, no, it's not the right thing with how many games are left. Is it enough? They've got a cup game that they're going into. Should he have kept him till the end of the season and see? For me, I think they should have kept him unless they've got someone lined up right away to come in. I just don't think it's going to work out for them. I don't think they'll get relegated. I think they'll be fine. But I just think it's too close to the end of the season to be sacking a manager that has done very well at the start of the season and kind of slipped off a little bit. But can you blame the manager fully for that? Is it also down to the players?
Yeah, I must say, I do agree with you with that, because I think for me, it's more of a gamble than anything, because it's not just because of the fact they're league position. I mean, look, the league position doesn't look great, but they've still got 2 games in hand of a lot of teams below them. So you think if he wins at least one of those, you pull right away and you're 9 points clear of the relegation zone again. So I think, I don't know if it's a case of where the expectations have been raised from Willstone because of the good start they had to the season and it's suddenly dropped off. But I think a lot of them have to realise that, they are punching well above their weight. I mean, am I right in thinking they're the only part-time team in this division now? Or is there anyone else that note? So I don't think there is any at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure on Tamworth, whether or not they're still part-time. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think apart from that, then they are certainly the only part-time team left. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because he did start the season really well. And then they've been on a run of something like, 1 in 12 win. Is it 1 win in 12 since then? I don't know for certain it's that, but I remember seeing something on Twitter from a Willstone fan along those lines. I think maybe the timing, the fact that they've got 3 of the bottom, 4 or 5 in and around them to come. They've got Braintree, they've got Brackley, and they've got the other one, Sutton, I think, as well, coming up. So potentially they want to make a change to try and get a couple of wins, sort of a new manager bounce to get them, safe for that bottom 4. One thing I would say is that Willstone have punched above their weight for a number of years in this league, and the reason that they've done so is because of the quality of the decision making in their owners and their board. So yes, it may seem a bit of a shock, but they've made a number of decisions over the years which you look at, think potentially, oh, that's a bit of a surprise, but ultimately it's kept them in the league. So yeah, it is a gamble, but time will tell. I think they'll be okay.
I mean, what about you, Rob, as well? I mean, do you think they've made the right decision at this stage? Because 15 games to go, they're in a fairly good position at the moment where they're probably 4 or 5 wins away from securing their status in this league again. But I mean, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, it's very contrasting, the fact that they started so well. I think Sam Cox was getting so much kudos in the early part of the season. They were touching the playoffs, weren't they, in those opening 8 or 10 weeks, and they have fallen away. I know they've had their injury problems like a lot of teams have. I didn't see this one coming, I must admit. I mean, listen, I watched the Luke Walsh podcast that he does with Paul, and Paul's obviously at Willstone. Paul didn't see it coming. Yeah, my gut feeling is that they do. I mean, nothing's, as far as I know, been announced today, but you get the impression with the fixtures they've got coming up that they were very in there, done it, job done, and very big, very important fixtures coming up. You'd like to think that if they did it, they have a plan, and that plan will be executed very, very quickly because it needs to. That's for sure. I think he had a damn good go at it, Sam Cox. I mean, probably some of us have seen a bit more of than we normally would, thanks to DAZN's coverage and their little series they've had going on Wealdstone, and I found that fascinating, to be honest with you. But yeah, what we have to acknowledge, just flipping this one round, is what a great win, and I think back-to-back wins that is for Sutton United. They were right. Them and Braintree were doing this in the table, weren't they, in that fourth bottom spot? And they've managed to pull away a little bit. So, and the other game, because if you could probably come to me about another game just quickly, if I can, Gateshead and Truro. Some people might have looked at that and thought, well, from the other team's point of view in that fight, does it matter who wins? Well, if you're Gateshead, it does, because they went to Halifax in the week and won 2-1, and they've gone to Truro and won back-to-back wins. As Jenny or Jenny will be hoping happens with Morecambe. We'll come to Morecambe in a minute. You just won't believe where it can take you. And sometimes you can be in the most wretched form, get a couple of wins, and it changes everything. It's going to be really tough for Truro or Gateshead or Morecambe to survive, but they've got some momentum now, Gateshead. And fair play to Rob Elliott for guiding his team. I mean, just going from Gateshead to Halifax in the week and then down to Truro for the weekend is quite an epic kind of double trip anyway, isn't it? To come back with 6 points, that's a great week for Gateshead. I don't know if Luke's there, is he? What's he saying?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a big. I think we've got a happy Luke in the chat for a change, and that we haven't seen that for a while. That's for sure. Definitely since the turn of the year, anyway. But obviously, he's given us 2 match reports. Obviously, first one being from the game against Halifax last week. It was first win in 16 games. First time we've won against Halifax in the league in 25 years. What a way to end that hurt. And then they've followed it up with a great victory over at Truro City. Sausage rolls are better than Cornish pasties. 2 on the spin, superb stuff. Harry Chapman, what a goal that is. I did see that goal, actually. What a way for all those Gateshead fans to travel and see that. And yes, I think you're right, Chris. A massive shout out to those Gateshead fans. I think it was, I want to say, I've been read it a couple of ways, a couple of places where it was just under 100, if not close, just under 200. I don't know which one was the accurate one, but to be honest, but either way, what a great effort. I mean, just like we would have praised Truro going up to Gateshead at the beginning of the season, it's not easy feat. And low key between me and you, Luke, I will agree with you that sausage rolls are better than Cornish pasties. So I don't know about everyone else's views on that, but that's my personal shout on it.
I wouldn't turn either one down, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or a pie. Pie, pasties, sausage rolls, come at me with them.
But what are you choosing though, Charlotte? If you had to pick out the 3, which one are you choosing though? I mean, I know which one you're going to pick, I reckon, but you might surprise me.
I don't know, because I do love a pasty, but I'm going to go for my pie.
Yeah.
I've not had one in ages, though, to be fair.
Is that maybe why they're doing so well? Because maybe you're not having the pie. It's providing that love. Who knows?
Yeah, probably. I'm never going to eat a pie again now. at the ground. At the ground, yeah. Outside, it's feasible. I think we can make that work. We can. Joe, any standouts for you from over the weekend in the National League?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe the Carlisle win, just the fact that they were able to do it so routinely. I managed to see Yeovil on Tuesday night last week against Rob's team, and I thought they struggled. And by all accounts, it was another difficult display for them. Carlisle virtually had this wrapped up within sort of half an hour, and certainly 3-0 up at half time. They were cruising from there. They've obviously not been sort of the standout teams in the league this year, but they're certainly looking for that top 3 spot. And, we haven't really seen a lot of Regan Linney or Chris Con-Clark either, have we, in recent weeks. So it's nice for them to have a couple of other players step up to the mark. Luke Armstrong, by all accounts, was terrific for them. A really, really good player that perhaps never gets the plaudits that he deserves. But yeah, for Yeovil, disappointing. They've got a big game on Wednesday night. They've got Sutton at home. So if Sutton can get a result in that one, then Yeovil are going to be right in it.
I didn't actually realise how close they were to the bottom four, because they were comfortably mid-table at one point, weren't they? I mean, but then again, you look at the gap. I mean, what between Braintree and Aldershot, 9 points separate them. So it's nowhere near done and dusted yet for any of those sides in and around there yet. There's still probably at least another 3 or 4 wins from each of those sides to secure their place in the division still. So it's still plenty of time for twists and turns, as we've already seen. I mean, let's start with you, Jen, first. Morecambe bagging it out 4-0 against an Eastie side that have been struggling themselves, and you've actually ended the manager's Scott Bartlett's tenure. I mean, but what a victory for you guys first of all, though.
Honestly, going into that game, I didn't really know what to expect. We know Jim's been working extremely hard with these lads. Like, he's in 9 o'clock till 6 o'clock on the motorway from Liverpool every single day. He's not moved. He's still got his taxi cab. He's still driving his taxi cab, which I just think is amazing. I just absolutely love that guy. But he's been working incredibly hard on the training pitch with these lads day in, day out. So going into it, I was a bit like, I don't know if we can get something out of it. Massive, like it's huge. And then I was watching it on my phone because I was at work. I was fuming that I missed this game. The one game I don't go to, and they absolutely annihilate. But the first 10 minutes were a bit like, I don't know what's going on here. And then Aziz scored from the halfway line. Not much more to say. It's going to put his asking price up more. So, Kyle, do you want to put some more money in? You can if you want to. But when his first goal went, I went, right, okay, it's 1-0. Let's not get overexcited here. We're Morecambe. We never usually win. That's just us. They'll score in a minute. That's just how it works for us. But yeah, I'm glad we held on to it till half time, because I thought if we could go in half time 1-0 up, that's going to create a buzz in the changing rooms. Everyone's going to be like, right, okay, we're 1-0 up. Let's just go out. Let's finish the game. And that's exactly what they came out and did. Jack Nolan scored. I think it was like the 56th minute, I think it was. Then Lewis Payne, who's been incredible and has deserved a goal for the past 3 or 4 games. He is probably one of our best players. He then scored. And then obviously our star player at the minute, who I absolutely love, Chris Pop scored to finish it off in the 78th minute. Absolutely love that man. I think he was a massive signing for us. But to finish it and win 4-0, yes, it was. I went, because obviously I was in work, and then I went to the ground to meet Liam after, as we were talking in the car on the way back, saying, yeah, it feels good to win, but we're still in the same position. Nothing's changed. We've still got 9 points to get out of the relegation zone. We're still fighting, but I think it showed that there's belief in the squad, there's belief in the coaching staff, there's belief in the staff behind the scenes, because it has been an horrendous couple of months behind the scenes. It has been some of the toughest months I probably personally dealt with. But to go on Saturday and see everyone so happy and upbeat, and seeing Jim and being able to speak to him, and he just seemed so upbeat and happy. And I know it's probably going to be an absolute miracle for us to survive. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. But if there were anyone that is the right manager, it's Jim. It's the way he bleeds Morecambe. If you were to cut him open, he would bleed Morecambe. He loves this club until the day he dies. So I think this win is huge. Go to Gateshead on Wednesday. I think that's going to be a game for everyone to be watching. I feel like that's going to be one of them National League games on a Wednesday night that a lot of people are going to be tuning into. I'm going to be at home stressed. But yeah, it feels, it's like I said to Liam last week. I said I was done with this club. I was like, right, that's it. We're getting relegated. We'll have to deal with what happens next year. But then they win, and then they pull you straight back in. And it's like, right, okay, if we can get 3 wins from somewhere, or we can just literally just keep winning, we'll be fine. And I think it's hard right now to see the positives, because we're still 9 points away from safety. But who says it's not impossible? Jim Bentley has done it countless times. He is a Morecambe man. He is a Morecambe legend. He has got these boys rallied and ready to fight for this club. So I think if we can do it, I think he deserves a statue outside the stadium, if I'm honest, because this has been a club that has struggled this year, and it's nice to finally feel like we've sort of got our club back in a sense. We are back to fans being around each other, everyone being happy, players all together, Jim on the sidelines and coming over and seeing the fans and chatting to them. I just think it feels like we've got our club back, and we've just got to keep fighting, and we'll see what happens on Wednesday. If we win on Wednesday, I think that could be even bigger for us. But then obviously we've got York at home on Saturday. But who knows? If we can get the home atmosphere behind the lads, anything can happen on Saturday.
I'm just looking at, say, the running that you've actually got, and the next month is pretty much season defining, really, in terms of the fact that you've got a lot of the teams in and around you. I mean, you've got Gateshead, obviously, York, Wealdstone, Sutton, Braintree, and Yeovil all in the next 3 weeks. And you think if you can get a good 9-10 points out of that, then maybe there starts to be a bit of belief again. But although, be it though, you have got some of the top teams obviously still to play in around you. But you've still got the yes, yeah, we would like that. Sorry, Morgan, it's nothing personal.
Yeah, we have got some really tough ones. Obviously, the Wealdstone one now is. We were thinking going to that, we weren't going to win that, but now they've got no manager. Maybe they don't have a manager by the time we go there. Anything's possible. It's looking at the games now and thinking, right, okay, if we can get a draw against York on Saturday, that could be massive. So I think looking at the fixtures that we've got, we just need to focus on the teams in and around us. And obviously, when York come to us on Saturday, it wasn't a bad game away either. I'm pretty sure it was 4-2 or something like that. And we actually played really well. So who knows what can happen? And it's a 5:30 kickoff. So it's going to be a long day for little boys, but I think anything can happen.
Did you want to add something, by the way, Joe?
Yeah, I was going to actually ask about Chris Popoff because I know obviously he only recently signed sort of in January, and he never scored a professional goal before signing for Morecambe, and yet he's someone that I've always liked the look of. And I know it's always as a striker you judge them on their goal record most of the time, but it's nice to see that he's already got 2 goals in a Morecambe shirt.
Yeah, I just love him. I just think he's such a character. He's just hilarious, whatever he does. And honestly, he's such an incredible player as well. And when he scored, I was just like, this is exactly what he needed. And honestly, I think he is a huge player for us. And I think now he's got some on the score sheet. I think he'll score a few more as well down the line. But yeah, he is a really, really good player.
I think this to Luke as well. I think all this build up to the Gateshead v Morecambe, and it's going to end 0-0. I hope not, because now I was going to tune in for that because we got to get our game.
At least he'll be happy.
Yes,
he loves a 0-0. Maybe not this time, but
that is a massive 6 points. I have to say, so I'll be to see how that one goes. I think I'm going to have to tune into that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge one.
Yeah, definitely. Rob, on the other side, though, good win for Aldershot. About into the top half now of the National League. What's that about? How's that happened?
I don't want to sort of just bang my drum and beat my chest and shout and scream and bore you all with loads of detail, so I won't do it. I just want to say we were 7 points, and this isn't to be smug. This is to say, if you're Gateshead or you're Morecambe, you can do it.
Yeah.
We were 7 points adrift in the relegation zone in, I think, the beginning of December. And we've won 8, drawn 2 and lost 1. I'm literally pinching myself. I can't believe it. We've gone to a season high 12th place. We're a top half team right now. I mean, that's just unthinkable. And I asked John after the game, and I understand his answer, but I said, when you came in, where we were, and then the run of fixtures we had, and losing the first 5 games, did you think it was even possible that in the middle of February you could be in 12th position in the table? And of course, he had to say that he believed he did and all the rest of it. But come on. I mean, that is just phenomenal. What he did during those first 5 games we lost is he you learn more in defeat, don't you? He saw all the places that we were weak and he made us stronger, sometimes physically, together as a team, mentally. And that's when a team's togetherness is really tested, when you lose 8 games on the trot. A lot of the time people check out at that point and it's done. But they didn't. They stuck together. And listen, I'll be the first to say that what happens when you get a bit of momentum and you start winning games and you start to get used to winning games, sometimes you win games more comfortably than you might. And this is one of them. Scunthorpe were not bad at all. Yes, we raced into a 3-0 lead in 33 minutes. But they had 2 great chances too. And Kanaya Boyce-Clark made 2 outstanding saves that kept the scoreline close. You may or may not know we actually could have gone 4-0 up on half time, but Ryan Hill, for the first time, I think in 5 or 6 penalties this year, he missed the target. He lifted it over the bar. And then when he missed that and Scunthorpe came straight out and scored, you're thinking, no, this can't happen. And thankfully it didn't. It was a scrappy second half where both teams should have scored again and didn't. This game, we could be looking at a 4-5, 5-4, 6-4 scoreline here. But the goalkeepers were good. The finishing wasn't as good as it could be. For Aldershot to beat a top 5 team, I think when they won at Hartlepool, they beat a team in the top 8 for the first time. And then when they beat Halifax, a team in the top 7, and now it's 5. Sorry, Shah, but we're working our way up. See you next Saturday.
No.
I mean, the final note on the Aldershot performance, which I can't talk about individuals because it literally is the sum of the parts right now. There's no egos in that team. Players who are inside, out of the side, off the bench, not even getting on. They are all in unison and buying in, which is fantastic. What I just went, oh, hang on a minute, as people were leaving the ground on Saturday, and I know a lot of people can only get to the home games, but they were going, right, brilliant. What a game that was. Now let's see how we can test ourselves against the league leaders next Saturday. And I'm like, excuse me, can we do it on a wet Wednesday at Braintree? Because that's what we've got to do this week. No good just thinking about Rochdale. You can't do it in football, can you? Because there's always the next game ahead of you, and Braintree are fighting for their lives. I know they obviously come unstuck on the weekend. A game that they might have targeted to get at least a point out of at Alty, who weren't in the best of form. But as I pointed out the other week, Braintree are the only team in all of that lot that have got the same manager they had this time last year, and he kept them safe last year. So I'm expecting a very, very tough game on Wednesday.
One thing I was going to add on shots is I obviously haven't had the benefit of seeing them on Tuesday night at Hewish Park. There seems to be more of a balance to them now and a structure under John Coleman. Obviously a player that perhaps hasn't got the plaudits given that he never gets on the score sheet, albeit he did a couple of weeks ago, is Will Nightingale, who's been terrific in sort of organising.
Our man of the match, sadly.
And looking at their fixtures, obviously barring that perhaps that outlier against Solihull Moors, they've actually only conceded more than 1 goal in only one of the last 11, barring that Solihull game. Whereas something we saw perhaps under Tommy at the start of the season was once they conceded 1, you thought, yeah, they'll probably go and concede 2 and 3. So, yeah, they've really turned it around. And, yeah, maybe a little outside shot of the playoffs, Rob.
I don't think so. I had a good look at it, and I think it's been absolutely amazing. Of course, it's definitely playoff form over the last 10, 11 games. Yeah, that's for sure. But I think if they can hold where they are now, it'll be amazing. Realistically, possibly at absolute best, I think they could push up to about 10th. I don't think anybody's really talking about the playoffs at Aldershot, but we're so relieved and we're so excited. And John is loving life. And when I say that, yeah, you can look at the results and say, of course he is. But no, John's from Liverpool. He's a northerner down in northeast Hampshire right now. At times, he's a long way from his family. His family are so supportive. I think one member or another or a few of his family come down to so many of the games at the EBB. But I think initially the idea, the remit was for him to come in and try and get us safe. And that was his remit, end of, and perhaps nothing beyond. And I don't know. I don't have any inside information on this, but what I do know is that week by week, as I did 50 years ago, he's falling in love with his football club.
I was going to say
So I think we hope that John is feeling very at home and that he might just stay. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that because he's definitely falling in love with football again. I can tell you. The recent form they've been in, absolutely terrific. But obviously, you're talking about the obviously the bottom end with teams scraping with the lines. Obviously, the thing actually I forgot to obviously really mention obviously is about Scott Bartlett. Obviously, been part of company with Eastleigh. We talk about loyalty and the fact that he's not really maybe has the amount of games that he might have hoped for to try and get him out of the situation in. I mean, again, I found it a little bit of a surprise, but it is a difficult one given obviously again the amount of investment that goes in to somewhere like Eastleigh. Is it maybe a sign of panic really that they are being pulled into it now and they think the change is necessary now? What do we all think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. Obviously, I think he did a good job at Western. Probably deserved his chance to manage in the National League. And it just hasn't worked out for him. Obviously, lots of players bought in since he signed or arrived at the club. But it just never, I've said this a number of times on the NL Full-Time Pod, it just never seemed to get going. Sometimes you have a big win to really kickstart things. Obviously, they did have that away victory at Solihull Moors, who were the informed team at the time, but it just never really got going. And it'd be interesting to see what direction they go in now. There is one name that I hear could be in the frame for that one, so it'd be interesting to see whether or not they do get that Eastleigh job. But yeah, they given, as you say, given the money that they have spent, they will want to make sure they keep their National League status at the very minimum. So, yeah, obviously they've made the change. And, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they go for next.
Just seen as well, yeah, Chris's comment that late goal at Chelmsford. Chelmsford 1, Hemel Hempstead 0. Kane Critchlow, 90th minute winner potentially. This time last week, conceding a late goal. And this time this week, they're finding a late goal themselves. So it puts them right close now to the playoff places now in National South. It's really starting to tighten up in there. But yeah, obviously just going back in it, like I say, I mean, have we got any, like I say, Rob, have we got any other thoughts on Scott Bartlett? Were you quite surprised to see that statement come through?
No particular individual thoughts on Scott Bartlett, but taking a step back and looking at Eastleigh over the last 4, 5, 6 years, here's the problem. By all accounts, they have had most of those seasons, apart from, bless him, poor Ben when he was there, Ben Strevens, when Stuart Donald went up to Sunderland for a few years, didn't he? Mm-hmm. They have had what are perceived to be a playoff budget. Yep. And they just don't get there. They haven't got there under 4, 5, 6 managers now, and that's the problem. They need to get the appointment right. You can understand why they went for Scott. He wasn't too far away geographically. He'd forged an excellent reputation at Weston-super-Mare, but he's another example of the brutal reality that you don't get long in football these days. It really is a results-driven business, and the fact that Eastleigh have even got to look over their shoulders with the playing budget that they've got, that should be getting them in the top half and towards those playoffs, is probably what's resulted in that decision sooner than certainly Scott Bartlett wanted.
Yeah, I mean, see, Jen, you would have obviously been the game that that ended the tenure of Scott Bartlett, but I mean, in the greatest way possible, maybe was it because of the end result and thinking the 4-0 against a rival that's in the relegation battle was maybe the tipping point. Something's not quite right here. Does it have that kind of feeling to you?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, we are 22nd now. I don't know. Yeah. But we were obviously 23rd before the start of this game. They probably would have thought, right, they're 23rd in the league. We're probably going to beat them, kind of thing. For us to absolutely thrash them 4-0 and keep a clean sheet, I think it was probably the right decision. There's heavy rumours about how it happened, and it was at the ground, which would mean a very awkward coach journey home. I don't know why he could have waited until they arrived back. But yeah, I think they're definitely looking over the shoulders now. It's going to be a very tight relegation scrap. But again, who are they going to get in? Are they going to get the right person in that's going to help them? it's one of them. It's getting down to the business end of the season now. You've got to make sure you're making them right hires to make sure that you are going to be surviving in this league.
Yeah, I think we've alluded to it. It'd be an absolute disaster. We'd like to give in AC's budget if they were to head back into National League South. You know, I look at the talent they've got, and I really am so surprised that they are where they are at the moment. And you know, to be looking for yet another manager this season, certainly not going to put them in good stead. And like I say, they're putting in luck now, and hopefully third time lucky for them to hopefully keep them in the division. But so much football to be played still, and could all sort of change. But let's have a look at the top of the National League, and I think this brings us perfectly to bring in our lovely Shah. Rochdale 3, Woking 0. If you've got it in you, Shah, give us your overview of it. How did it go for you?
Yeah, to be fair, first half we were absolutely excellent. Manny Desirue actually got on the score sheet very, very early on. It's a move that we've been seeing quite a lot. Unfortunately, it was ruled offside, but one guy who I want to mention, Kyron Gordon. I don't want to mention him because there'll be so many other people watching it, and he's such a great player. But I have to mention him because not only is he doing absolutely brilliant in that back three with obviously Perry, Ebanks, and himself, he's contributed. I think is it 6 assists this season and 5 goals, which I think is obviously excellent for someone like Kyron Gordon. Obviously a defender, but he's just excellent. Obviously getting on the score sheet. He's had a couple of off games, to be fair, recently. I'm mentioning that so no one comes in for him, by the way. But yeah, honestly, him and Harvey Gilmore have been my players of the season so far. Really, really grafted. Obviously, Manny Desirue scoring a brace. I can't remember how many actually said he has scored this season. It was a stat, but quite a few, to be fair. Very, very good, obviously, seeing him back on the score sheet after that controversial penalty. He did get the second goal.
He got that opportunity to take another one so soon, Shah, which is what he'd have dreamed of, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The second goal, though, it was a very, very good assist by Ryan East. Someone who, similar to kind of your Harvey Gilmores, your Kyron Gordons, don't necessarily get the plaudits that they deserve. Ryan East, honestly, has been exceptional in that midfield. Scoring, I think he's on 5 or 6 goals now, and obviously doing really, really well alongside Harvey Gilmore. It's one of the reasons why Casey Petit isn't necessarily getting in the team week in, week out because of those two. And then, yeah, like we said, Manny Desirue obviously did get the chance to step up for that penalty. And I think it's a good job. He kind of stepped up sooner rather than later. Just get that out of the way. That's in the past now, and kind of have your moment and just does what Manny Desirue does, just put it away. And second half, don't get me wrong, there was some chances. Woking got into it that little bit more. But it was just quite a very professional performance. I feel like I come on week in, week out and say that, but we kind of know what to do and we know when to make them tweaks and stuff this season, kind of settle it down a little bit. But another person I did want to mention, who I think has been outstanding the last few games, obviously used to play for Woking as well, is Dan Moss. He has obviously been brilliant, not necessarily had the chance as much this season earlier on to kind of prove what he can do. But especially in the big games and the physicality that Woking do bring and did bring to the Crown Oil Arena, he has just slotted in absolutely perfectly. Obviously, Taryn Alarakia hasn't really had much recently because Dan Moss has played that well consistently the last few games. He just brings that going forward element, but also is a little bit better defensively, which obviously I just feel like he needed that. But yeah, I can't complain whatsoever.
Another clean sheet as well.
Another clean sheet. And that's all I'm going to say because I can feel my voice now. So I'm not going to spend too long on it. Another win, still top of the league. We need to keep winning because York are coming as well.
This 2-horse race is absolutely
It
outstanding.
really is.
Both teams are nearly 80 points, and we're only not well towards the end of February. It's absolutely remarkable. I think I think it was Rob that alluded to. I think last a couple of weeks ago saying that it basically has got a Wrexham Notts County title race feel about it.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. It is. I mean, it's going to be a case of which one wins the league. Is it going to be the attack or is it going to be the defence? And at the moment, 21 goals in 32 games is no easy feat conceded in this league. And I mean, just quickly as well, Charles, how many clean sheets is that now, if you know the top of your head? Because there must be quite a lot now.
Oh, this is going to really annoy me because
Is it around about 15, I think? Something like that? I don't know.
I think it's something like that. I think Oliver Watmouth, last I heard, was it 30? Was it 13 or 14 clean sheets recently?
Yeah, just looking at the stats, it's 15.
Yeah.
For Rochdale and he's only played 26 games, Ollie Watmouth. So the next best is actually Gabriel Breeze from Carlisle with 12. He's played 7 games more. So he's played 7 less and has got 3 more clean sheets.
Because he was injured, wasn't he, for that month as well, around December, because we ended up with Nathan Broom from Bolton Wanderers coming in. So that's crazy.
Just while we're on the stats, I just want to quote our friend Luke Walsh of the Luke Walsh podcast. He put out a tweet earlier on. I mean, he might have put more clarification on it because he's had loads of feedback, but that's probably a good thing. What he's done is he's taken the points that everybody's got this season on the number of games they've played, worked out their points per game and extrapolated it. So based on what teams have got so far, Rochdale are on track to get 112 points this season. York to get 107. Somewhere in that, Rochdale win the title, by the way. Carlisle, 94 points and potentially going to come third with 94 points, which isn't far behind York's 96 in second last year. And then Boreham Wood and Scunthorpe. If you'd offered them 87 and 86 points at the start of the season, they'd have snapped your hand off. But that's what they're on for. It is a magnificent season. I think that's great what Luke's done because it's just taken a peer into the future saying, look, if everybody continues to do what they've done to this point, what does it look like? And then when you say Rochdale and York in and around 110, just above, just below points, it is definitely giving Wrexham and Notts County vibes, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, I think there's no two ways about it. I mean, I think York must be absolutely sick of the sight now of coming on after a game and they've smacked 4 or 5 past the team and they're seeing that Rochdale won again. So it's actually quite remarkable, to be honest with you.
Tough game tomorrow, though. We've got Halifax. Halifax are a bogey team for us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, how did you get on against
them? And then obviously as well, they beat us, didn't they? The first team to beat us at home this season. Halifax. So we've got two really tough games. Even to be fair, people were getting a bit cocky about the Woking game. And I know we did win 3-0, but I was going into that thinking that it's a very, very tough game because Woking are no pushovers either.
No,
what do we make of Woking though? I mean, they've just fizzled out for me. I mean, obviously, yes, they're mid-table, but I'd be quite disappointed if I was their fans. They start the season fairly well. Been in and around the edge of the playoffs, but almost just fallen flat for me. I mean, looking at the table, they're only 8 points off the bottom 4. And they are actually the only team in the bottom half to actually have a positive goal difference. But yeah, they just seem a bit meh.
It's difficult to offer much on that, really, isn't it? And we know that Neil Ardley is so good at making his teams hard to beat. And he had a really strong run over 10 or 12 games with Woking, which lifted them into a position where they then had to ask the question, could we kick on to the playoffs maybe, But the reality is it's difficult. This is a brutal league. It's tough to win one game, let alone back-to-backs. And, yeah, I mean, I can't particularly think of their fixture list, but certainly, losing 3-0 at Rochdale, frankly, is not going to define your season, is it? But you're right, Joe. I think it's probably 3 defeats in the last 4, something like that for Woking. And yeah, they're having a tough spell at the moment. A bit like one of you was saying about Wiltshire, I think it was Jen. I don't think they'll go down for sure. But how do they get to that next level, Woking? That's the question. That's the quandary for Neil Ardley and for Woking, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that with Woking is they've always been in and around there though. I think was it only 2-3 years ago they did reach the pass and they finished third, didn't they? So and I think they lost to Bromley because I went to the game, I did, and you could tell that there is potential there for Woking to have a proper playoff charge, but for some reason it's a bit like Easy in a way. It's like they're just inconsistent. That's the thing, they'll go on a really good run and then towards the end they'll start slowing down, and then before you know it, their season finishes with a bit of a whimper, really. So, but so I think, given the fact that I don't think they had a great start to the season, because they were in the relegation place at one point, because my prediction was on. I mean, albeit they're still 8 points above it. I mean, they're closer to relegation than they are the playoffs at the moment, but I don't think they're going to go down. But it is probably a bit of a I say, as Joe said, a bit of a mess season really for them. It's not really hit the probably heights they maybe would have expected. But I think in the summer they signed a lot of players from lower levels, didn't they? And that's why I sort of thought they might be in around that relegation zone. And I think that's where you got to give Neil Ireland credit that he has trusted players from lower levels to come and do a job for him. What is such a tough league, but yeah.
Unless they're still in the FA Trophy, it's the quarterfinals at the weekend, and I love the way they're set up. Shara will remember this from the semi-final last year, which she doesn't want to remember, I know, but all the North or South based teams are at home to the 4 National League teams. There you go. Thank you very much, Chris. Woking are away to Marine. Our colleague who mostly produces these days on NL full time, Luke Edwards, is commentating on that one for BBC Surrey. He's looking forward to that, although he said the press box at Marine is behind the goal. I've never heard that. I've never, ever heard that before. So that's unique. But yeah, Woking's season might well be about just mid-table and for them, possibly, recovering from last season's, kind of, let's be honest, for them, bitter semi-final FA Trophy defeat. They've got a rich history in that competition, and they'll believe they can go on and at least get to Wembley again.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and we all know that it doesn't matter where you finish the league, as long as you stay up and win the FA Trophy, then we class that as a good season, don't we, Rob?
We do. No, I class it on am I entertained every week, and I'm giddy on that front. So, yeah.
Just quickly touching back on Rochdale, because I know Danny did send a quick review of the game. He said Rochdale had as comfortable a game as we could have wished for in this run of Tuesday, Saturday matches. 3 scored, wrongly denied another penalty. Plenty more chances. Woking just weren't in it. Also met Ian from Hopper's Guide before the game. He had a great blog. Like I said, brilliant win for the Dale. And then on the other side as well, they've still got York City chasing on them. I mean, unfortunately, as you might notice, that Morgan hasn't been with us for a while. Unfortunately, he had technical issues, so unfortunately he's had to drop out. But he has sent me a match report of the game from their 4-1 win over Halifax. He's put York 1-4-1. Made it look really easy at times against a very good Halifax side. Our second goal especially was so well worked with 2 back heels. Now 22 unbeaten, but just have to keep going and hope they'll slip up. 22 games unbeaten. You've scored 88 goals, and you still might go 4 points, behind the league leaders. I mean, if you York City, well, that's hopefully on that front, yeah. I mean, if you're a York City fan now, you must be tearing your hair. I think, what have we got to do to get to the top of the league? But again, they might be punished for that very slow start to the season that Molson might have cost them.
Yeah, I mean, this is the point in the season where we really see what the teams are made of. Really, really tough period. The only benefit, I suppose, as to why I still back York is you look at their team, they've got players that have won the league before. And this is the type of period where they usually come into their own. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Rochdale handle it. That both teams should go up, really. I mean, they have been by far and away the 2 best teams in the league. So I hope they do both go up. But it's going to be a really good finish all on that final day.
It is indeed. Like you just got to look at. I mean, I can't remember a team that scored as many goals as they have at this stage of the season. I mean, you've had your Wrexham Notts County with notched in over 100 goals last year either way, but they think that was after about 46 games. Whereas York had 12 goals away. I mean, that's the thing. They average about. I think I've just done the math. It's about 2.5 goals a game. So it's quite remarkable. For any team in this division. But it's more the fact the amount of chances they create as well. I mean, Morgan says I think if you're a side that plays the way they do, and he says he gets bored sometimes when he watches them play because the game's done in about half an hour. I mean, I'd love to see that if my team every week. But, I mean, I think that what they're doing though is they're finding games, to win, and they're just making light work of it. And it is at the moment really is just putting the pressure on Rochdale at the moment. And to be fair, they were holding their own. I mean, we speak about it most weeks, but the title race as a whole is definitely heating up now. And can we see York really, pulling it back, or do you feel like they've still got to slip in then?
Well, interestingly, the one thing that given that final day is Rochdale versus York. That in some ways, there's almost pressure on Rochdale to make sure that by the time they get there, they're already at least 3 points in front. Because given York's goal difference, as long as they're within 3 going into that final day, they'll back themselves to go and win. So, I mean, that must be the first time ever that we've had the top 2 going into the final day potentially playing each other. Certainly set up for a really good finish.
We never win. So I'm hoping if we do go into it, this is the first time we actually get a win against them in the National League, because they're our bogey team. They absolutely batter us.
The irony is, Shah, if you have got it done before that day, and they're then preparing for a home semi-final in the playoffs, they may end up putting a scratch team out against you, and you might pump them. But
and more so for that if Rochdale have won it by the final day, then we'll be able to see Shah watching Dale pick the trophy up in front of Morgan. So it's going to be.
I'll make sure I get a picture with it.
Yeah.
Here's another thing.
It'll be that easy. It will not be that easy, though. Trust me, there'll be more twists and turns.
Here's another theory. Rochdale get pumped at home to York because they've already won the title and they've been off in Ibiza for a week. A la Liverpool, I think it did it, didn't they, last season?
Yeah.
While the season was still going on. That would be the ultimate.
We have got Lil Rich who actually went to the York game, I think, on Saturdays. But evening all, York not only have scored 88 goals in the league, our lone players also are scoring 93 goals if you had their goals in. Tyree Sinclair banged in 2 for them on Saturday for Solihull, which I've seen, which again, a game I'll touch on in just a second, actually. He said Fort Halifax looks a decent side first 16 minutes, and the game stopped for a clapping for York youth player who has been diagnosed with cancer, and York scored 40 seconds later and over, and then game over. York played in spells some of their best ever seen at this level. 1 goal, there was 2 back heels in the build-up. I mean, that says it all, really, doesn't it? About the way it's going for them at the moment. The Barcelona of the National League, potentially. But it does lead me on to the fact that, Tyree Sinclair scored 2 goals for Hartlepool. What was an absolute thriller on Saturday. 2-0 down to Solihull, pulled it back. I think they went 3-2, also 4-2 up before they notched the goal in right at the end at Solihull. But, I think we can't not talk about, a 7-goal thriller like that. But what a great comeback from Hartlepool.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And this game, I don't know the reasons. I kind of tried to look into it, but didn't see. But I think it didn't finish until about 10 past, 5 or 10 past 5. It was going on really late. The goals were still flying in when all the other games had finished.
The last goal was scored in the 15th minute of stoppage time it was. So I think that just shows. I don't know what the delay was at all. I mean, if there's any Solihull or Hartlepool fans in the chat, please let us know, because there must have been something to read to put it back for that long anyway. But Jen, obviously we've talked about Hartlepool a few times, this season, still keeping themselves in those playoff places as well. I mean, against a Solihull side, are it was a 6-pointer away, because if Solihull had won that, they might have been starting to look at, potentially, I think we can sneak in those playoffs, but a huge win for Hartlepool as well, and it's a key win as well to just keep him in that hunt.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hartlepool are really pushing on, and I think it's definitely deserved of everything they've obviously gone through off field and stuff. It's nice to see them doing well and actually winning these games and putting on a show of football as well. And I think hopefully they can stay in and around there, and we'll see what they can do. But yeah, I'm very, very happy for them.
And I'm right in saying as well that they've, Jeff Stelling's gone back in, because I know he had a bit of time away now. He's been now announced as a president for them. And they've got a Savannah Marshall as official club ambassador. So obviously a few things going off on the pitch there. And again, if someone is not we know as popular as Jeff Stelly, that gets fans back on side a little bit, because obviously I think a lot of people weren't happy with the way he was treated. I think sort of back at the beginning of the season, towards the end of last year, I can't remember now, but look, having a popular face like that back in and around the club you've supported all your life is massive for them. And again, little things like that might just give them that boost to think maybe it is their time again, to really push on and get themselves into those playoff places. I mean, as a support, from if we look at any clubs, when something like that happens, does that feel like it gives a bit of an extra boost and around our clubs?
Absolutely, yeah. And like you said, there's a 7-goal thriller this, but this is your example of what people, I know we all use it wrongly, but it's your example of a 6-pointer. I'll tell you why. Those two teams were next to each other in the table, and had Solihull won that game, they'd both be on 45 points.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're not. Now Hartlepool are on 48 and Solihull are on 42. There's 6 points between them. There's no places between them. Obviously, we'll look at the table in a bit, won't we? But what it does is it firmly establishes Hartlepool, Halifax and Southend as the 3 teams fighting out for that vital last playoff place, doesn't it? Southend might well feel, with the games in hand they've got, that they can actually push up higher and maybe even get a home eliminator, in 4th or 5th place now. But Halifax and Hartlepool are the 2 teams that look as if they reasonably could push Southend.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I say, these probably perfectly, to be honest, to bring on the table actually for National League. We've still got who's top of the league, that Shah, if you've still got it in you, who's top of the league?
Dale.
For now, yes. Rochdale sitting top with 78 points, and just below them are York City with 77 points. 3rd place, we have Carlisle United with 68 points. Boreham Wood sitting 4th with 61 points. Scunthorpe United in 5th with 60 points. Forest Green Rovers in 6th with 59 points. And making up the top 7 are Southend United with 52 points. And in the bottom 4, we have 21st Braintree Town with 30 points. 22nd, sorry, Jen, is still Morecambe, but they're fighting their way back up on the 26 points. Gateshead sitting in 23rd on 25 points. And bottom of the National League are Truro City with 24 points. Which leads us to the National League North, leaving the Northerns till last. Joe, I'll come to you first. Any standouts from you from over the weekend?
Yeah, obviously that game at the bottom, a lot went on. Spennymoor Darlington proved to be the final game for Graham Lee. Start with Darlington. They've been in terrific form, really picking up under Steve Watson. I backed them to be in the playoffs before a ball was kicked, and they're really starting to find their feet now. And to go to Spennymoor, yes, they haven't been in the best of form. That's ultimately why Graham Lee lost his job. But Darlington, to go there and win so handsomely is to be respected. As for Spennymoor, not quite been the season for them after the highs of last year, and obviously getting to that final against Rob's Aldershot. A word on Graham Lee. I am disappointed for him. Obviously, I know he had a lot of off-the-field issues last year. I believe I'm right in saying that his wife was quite ill, so obviously he had to deal with that as well throughout the season. So, I suppose the one silver lining, I suppose, is that he's able to be at home with his wife and taking a watching berth. But yeah, Spennymoor, more than safe in the league. And it'd be interesting to see who they go for now. But just wanted to wish him all the best going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was just going to say, I was waiting for Chris to put in his reporting from it. I think I must have missed the first bit because he's got 2 and 3 in there. So I do apologise if I've missed the first bit, Chris. But I will go with the first bit I can see, which is I just want to thank Graham so much for the memories that he's given us with our trophy run to the final. Sorry, Shah. And what he did for Spennymoor overall, but with results lately, especially getting beat 5-0 twice, 6-0 and 4-0 just recently. And the players need to take some of the blame for this, not just all on the manager. Graham wrote a letter to the fans, which is on the website, thanking everyone at the club for everything, and I will miss him in the dugout. I mean, is always tough. I say losing a manager. It's just I think Charles just been triggered by Clay's comments.
I love how they all come in when I've got no voice.
Because I know
Come back next week.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I would on that as well is that it is even more so disappointing because Graham Lee's dad, actually, a guy called Tony Lee, he actually managed Spennymoor United before, obviously, Spennymoor Town, obviously, with Graham. So Spennymoor, on the whole, they've got a real connection with the Lee family. So yeah, disappointing. But he'll always be able to say that he's walked his team out at Wembley, and not many managers will be able to say that. So
yeah, exactly. And in fact, they've sort of left themselves in sort of capable hands. I mean, Tommy Miller, and Matty Dolan have gone in now. Tommy Miller had, I think, a successful four-year spell just going off of their website as an assistant manager. So he's someone that knows the club really well. Matty Dolan as well, pretty sure ex-player, made 100 appearances for the club. So, for the remainder of the season, I mean, they're not in a bad position where, they're probably like to get relegated. I mean, they're 12 points above relegation, so they should be fine. But I guess for them now, I mean, the playoffs still aren't out of the question, albeit there are teams who've got games in hand for them. But maybe they just need to get a bit of a good feel back into their squad and maybe just go back to basics. Is that maybe the feeling on it from the appointment?
yeah, potentially. Obviously, two people that know the club pretty well, and will already have that connection with the supporters. You'd imagine it's a safe pair of hands to take them through to the end of the season, where obviously they'll then make a more permanent appointment. Not sure whether or not they will want to take it permanently, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they go for. I know that obviously Tommy Whittington's without a job, and I see he's only from Newcastle upon Tyne, which is not far around the corner. So yeah, maybe, but yeah, be interesting to see what direction they go in.
Definitely. Rob, any standouts for you from over the National League North weekend?
Well, I know you'll probably say I often do this, but I'm going to do it again. I look at the National League North teams that are close to me, and one of those is Bedford Town. They're 12 miles up the road, and it also gives me the opportunity to say that we had Lee Bircham, their manager, on our podcast yesterday. It's only come out this evening, actually. So after we've come off after over 2 hours, if you want any more National League picks tonight, go and have a look for that NL Full Times pod. Lee Bircham is great. He's refreshing. He's down to earth. He just tells it as it is. And as he actually messaged me afterwards to say, really enjoyed that. It was just like chatting to me mates down the pub. And that's the way he talks. He manages. He's so funny. He just hasn't, it could have got a bit serious for him this season, managing at this level, a side like Bedford punching massively. But he's still staying true to himself, Joe, isn't he? They got a 2-0 win. Nathan Ashmore on loan from Boreham Wood twice this season, and now he's back there again. And yet again, he's gone back in after they got whipped last week. Was it 6 or 7? And he kept a clean sheet. And surely haven't had the season they wanted, but that's still a really, really good 2-0 home win. It keeps them 5 points clear of the zone. And I'm a lucky boy because I managed to be quite cheeky. And I said to Birchie when he was on yesterday, I said, "You're not playing Tuesday, are you?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Where?" He said, "At home to Peterborough Sports." So my two local National League North teams, one's 12 miles from me, one's 25 miles from me. And I'm going to go and watch that game tomorrow night and see Birchie again in person. Joe, what a great guest he was. I'll put him straight in the top 3 or 4 guests we've ever had on.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee's great. You can see why, a little bit like Mark White in some ways, you can see why the players, or wherever he's been, the players respect him and want to play for him and actually enjoy playing for him. Really good character. Obviously, if you know the Bircham family, they're quite a likable family, real characters. Mark, obviously, as well. Lots of stories, but yeah, Lee's doing a good job. And I think for Bedford, yes, they had a good start to the season. Their aim has been just to stay in the division because they weren't expecting to even be here. So 5 points clear now. And of all the teams down there, the one team that you would, I certainly would back to be safe come the end is Bedford, because Lee Bircham has always got results at whatever level he's been at.
And it's quite key as well, the fact that the players that they have got, and we've said it with Nation Ashmore, when he has gone in, he has done a job for them. They seem to have been on a good run, and it's dipped us a little bit, and it just shows you're only as good as I say as your defence and your goalkeeper, and we know the experience he brings. He's a good player at the 6th tier level, as we saw getting Bournemouth promotion last season. So I think it's massive for them to have him now. Just hoping that Bournemouth don't call him on again if they have to, so that he can at least stay us at the end of the season, because I think it would be massive for them if he can stay with them, because I think that you can only see him staying in the division now, which again, like as you guys just said, may have a huge achievement for them, for being at this level for the first time. So massive credit to Lee Bircham's side there.
And Tyrone Marsh at the other end of the pitch. So if you're an underdog, if you've got a low budget, they've done so well to get these players in. Ty Marsh is a Bedford boy. He really wanted to play, and that's the only reason they've been able to get him. But 21 goals, I think that's still probably behind Ricardo Reese and maybe one or two others. But 21, so you're one of the best goalkeepers you could have in the division, and one of the best strikers at either end of the pitch, and then an awful lot of heart and guts and a bit of experience and youth mixed together in between, and they're making a real fist of it.
Yeah, exactly. The balance is so key, in particular at this level where you do need that game management and that know-how to get out of certain situations. So again, that's a huge benefit for Bedford now going into these last sort of 2-3 months of the season. Jen, anything that stands out for you from National League North?
I'd probably say South Shields and Telford. What a huge game that was at the top of the table, especially with Flyde winning as well. It's incredibly tight at the top of that table, so Flyde took full advantage of them drawing. So I think it's definitely tight at the top in the north, and you generally cannot say who is going up from there at all. But South Shields drawing 2-2 to Telford is something they probably didn't want and probably didn't need, but Flyde took full advantage of it. So I think it's really going to go down to the wire for them. Yeah,
I think as well. They're kicking themselves as well. South Shields going 2-1 ahead at 84 minutes on the clock, through Paul Blackett, and then Aidan George, putting a goal back less than 2 minutes later. So that would have really been a right kick in the teeth for South Shields, and because of that, Fylde obviously have taken advantage now and gone back to sort of the top of the National League North with that 3-0 win over Buxton. Again, another. Obviously, I think it sort of alludes a little bit to, maybe the elephant in the room. I think a little bit, as I think it's come out in the news recently. Obviously, we've just seen another great result for Macclesfield. But on the Kings Lynn front, it's been a very interesting last 48 hours for them with the news that have just come out about an investigation that's going on at the moment. With I think it's the sprinklers of the pitch seem to be on for a considerable amount of time before their game against South Shields last week, and the game got called up for waterlogged pitch. I mean, what's sort of our views on that, really? I mean, because it's hard to judge at this stage, without knowing the full extent of the story and everything. But obviously, from the camera evidence, there is clearly a case there. I mean, you almost couldn't write it in this sort of level, could you? I mean,
listen, the narrative, the negative narrative, fits quite nicely, doesn't it? With the camera footage, the time and date stamp, and obviously the fact that Kings Lynn potentially, we're hearing allegedly had a flu bug or a virus going through the camp. I would just urge a bit of caution. Let that investigation take place, because we now live, whether we like it or not, in a time where there is a lot of fake news. And I don't know if there's been rubber stamped or vindicated as yet. It's perfectly possible in this day and age to produce photographs like that, to produce a timestamp, to make, from a picture, etc. So we don't know for sure that actually is what happened. Let the investigation take its course. You don't need to know an awful lot on social media these days for a narrative to get out there. Joe knows that just from the weekend with the Torquay bus scenario. My first reaction when that news broke in our WhatsApp group, Joe, was one or two things has happened here. This is either a disgusting twist and a lie, or it's a disgusting show of entitlement, and I really hoped it was the first, and it was. So let's see what actually prevails. Kings Lynn supporters and people involved with the club probably won't appreciate this yet. But what I do like is the funny side of it. Some of the virals and things I've seen since then, that's brought out the best of the British public sense of humour, hasn't it? It's just probably not very funny right now if you're Kings Lynn.
Yeah, I think you're right in saying that as well, because particularly as I only just saw a statement, actually, like going back onto Torquay, with the Supporters Trust, an article that came out in the Sun about the situation then, and the Torquay Supporters Trust came out straight away and said, no, that's fake news. They're saying that's a complete lie. So you're definitely right with it. Like I said, there has to be some sort of caution. Like I said, there's always two sides to every story, and until that investigation, sort of comes to a conclusion, it's not really much to say. But obviously, from the outside, everyone will look at it and think it's possibly dirty cheating. But I say we don't actually know until all the full extent of the details that come out about it. Really, I mean, is that how you sort of see it, Joe? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's always people that will, twist the narrative to suit. Like I said earlier, I think the fact that Torquay lost on Saturday, perhaps people that did have it in for the club in terms of some of their own fans and perhaps people outside, they did twist it to suit that narrative. But yeah, it's been quite the season for Kings Lynn, hasn't it? Certainly lots to deal with. Not been quiet, that's for sure.
The story certainly deflects from the very grumpy post-match interview that Ian Culverhouse did, one that our own Christian has probably seen a few times in the darker days at Boston. I think he came out literally wanting to say, yep, no, whatever, 3 or 4 times. And he kept repeating the same thing. Yeah, I picked the wrong team. It was like he was reluctantly taking it on his own chin, wasn't he? And then eventually he did open up and thank the fans for coming, etc. But yeah, I'm certainly not suggesting for 1 minute Kings Lynn put the story out there themselves, but it has deflected away from that, which I think that post-match interview had a potential to go viral on its own, Joe, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Ian Culverhouse is certainly a bit of a character, I think that perhaps quite cleverly detracted from the confusion, obviously, of that game and the Watergate. But the fact that weirdly for them, the fact that you've got Watergate and the really bad interview, it almost detracts from how poor they were in the actual game. Losing 4-0, not the week that they would have been hoping for.
No, Floodgate Gate. That's what that was.
So you're right. Jen, obviously you would have watched the game last week against Brentford, for Macclesfield, in the watch along. Are you surprised that they've come out with such a big win, after going out of the FA Cup? Because it is a difficult one. When your cup run comes to an end, a lot of people say that your league form tends to dip, but not in Macclesfield's case. John really seems to have kept them on task, and that's a huge statement win for them at the weekend, isn't it? Oh, you're on mute.
When we watched the watch along last week, we constantly were saying Macclesfield put up a fantastic show against them because they were just incredible, and it's such a shame how they went out. It was just such heartbreaking to see how they went out. So I was kind of glad that they came back into the league with a huge win, because that's exactly what they needed, especially after going out the way they did. And honestly, they deserve nothing but the best. Macclesfield, the whole town, the whole fans, the club, everything. So for them, I think it was a huge statement for them to go out and get that massive win, because like you said, they could have dipped after the FA Cup knowing the way they went out, but they just thought, let's just focus on the league. Let's see what we can do here. And they've gone out and proved a point.
Pushed them into the top 7 as well. So we're still with loads of games in hand over the teams above. I mean, look, they're not going to be in the title charge. I think that's fair to say, but they could very much comfortably get a playoff place, considering the games they've still got to play. And it doesn't seem to be anything stopping in the way. I mean, look, they've competed against now 2 Premier League sides, and taken it pretty much to the last kick of the game. Which just shows how far they've come. And people have to remember they are a part-time team as well. And in fact they've more than held their own, against some big sides. And I think we always said the Moss Rose is a fortress for them, and it has been since the club have revived. They've got the 3G pitch, they've got the backing, they've got the fan base. Everything's there for them now to really give it a good go.
Yeah, definitely. I think they can do it. And like you said, they've been a club that have been in and around it for a while, but now they've got the right backing and all the fans are on the right side. Who says they can't do it?
Definitely. Were you going to say something, Joe? Were you?
Yeah, just that obviously, Makasud, as Jem pointed out, they're really well backed. They've got some good players there. Yes, obviously they haven't got Danny Elliott anymore after his injury, but when you're able to call on players like Damani Mella, who's been in terrific form, then they won't be far away. I'm not sure when the cut-off is for deadlines for transfers. I know we don't have a January transfer window in the non-league, but I believe it's maybe second or third week of March. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they do still go and add one or two just to push them towards that top 7 and try and give themselves the best chance of getting in there.
Yeah, I think Matt's just put alluded to as well. I still wonder how Matt would have got on the season if Robbie Savage and the players he took with him had stayed. It is like I say, it's, ifs and buts really. It is such a difficult balance because they could have gone all completely wrong for them. They might have got a little bit too ahead of themselves, and they could have been, doing like what Eastbourne are doing in the National South. They could have been right near down the bottom, with the backing they've had. But at the same time, look, they've trusted John Rooney as a next player. And, so it's still a young coach, but what he's doing with this group this season is nothing short of phenomenal. It was always going to be big shoes to fill after such a great season they had last year in the Northern Premier League. But you've got to give absolutely every bit of credit to him for how he's kept his feet on the ground, and they really are giving it a good go. Seeing Graham's comment as well, Macclesfield, the team that beat Palace on, I think so. I think that's some game that happened, I think, at the beginning of the year, potentially. Don't think it's been talked about too much, to be honest, but we'll worry about that another day, couple more, obviously, standouts in there. Alfreton 3, Merthyr 2. Merthyr were 2-0 up as well, as Chris has just put in the chat. Also got Dino in the chat saying, what do we all think of Merthyr this year? I mean, I think we've spoken about a lot about how they've overachieved, but still comfortably sitting in the playoffs. I mean, look, the title's probably a bit out of the question now with the amount of games they've played, but still on course, for what would be a terrific finish for them.
Yeah, and still scoring plenty of goals, aren't they? Without Ricardo Reis. Twamley scoring again. He's really catching the eye, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Merthyr have been terrific. It's been nice to see that, a team that come up, sometimes you try and sort of adapt how you play, but they've very much stuck to, what they know. The likes of Kiban Ray, obviously a player that Rob knows from his time at Aldershot, perhaps didn't show his best stuff at Aldershot, but still a very talented player. The likes of Corley Cox stepping up as well after Ricardo Reis. And just looking at the table, they've actually got the lowest number of draws in the league, which probably tells you what you need to know about Merthyr. They go hell for leather. They ain't going to settle for a point. They're no Rochdale-shire, are they? They don't like draws. They want to go for that win.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's it's. I think they've established they've been absolutely well drilled this year, and they've kept that momentum going, and I think it's an absolutely terrific job, regardless of what happens now for them. Even if they were to falter outside of the playoffs, I think if they were offered 60 points with still 12 games to go, I think they would have taken that 100%. I mean, they would have been looking at just above the dotted line this year, not looking right at the top. So absolute credit to what they're doing at the moment, and still even without losing, let's say, a massive goal scorer, Ricardo Reis, they pulled it out of the bag and done a terrific job. Another comment I've just seen as well with Chester. I think it's Matt has pointed it out. Chester have had some decent results since announcing Callum McIntyre's departure at the end of the season. What price on them squeezing into the playoffs and going up? Would they stick with Cal? That's a very interesting question, actually. I mean, have they got to move on to the next stage, or does he sort of buy back a little bit of time now, because of that?
It's interesting. It's just interesting how it's dulled everything down. It looks as if it might have been a great, smart bit of PR and decision, doesn't it? I'm not close to it. I don't know exactly why they did it or how, why they did it that way. But everyone's suddenly, instead of talking about Chester and going, will Callum McIntyre go this week or next week? Or, have they got another defeat in him before he goes? Now they're just getting on with the football, aren't they? And they're getting it done. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think that's probably why they've made the decision. Chester are one of those clubs, rightly or wrongly, that they, because of how well they've done in recent years, there is that level of expectation on them. And every time they don't win, it's, Cal McIntyre's got to go. The fans, very reactionary, very passionate. And I think just the fact that they've said, he is going to leave at the end of the season. Now there's that bit of calmness that if they don't perhaps win a game, that there's a little bit more level-headed. And I think that focus has helped him. And yeah, I mean, he's a good manager, Cal McIntyre. Yes, Chester have perhaps dropped off the pace a little bit this year, but he's done a decent job, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see him perhaps managing maybe in the National League next year, because I think with the number of jobs that are available, I wouldn't be at all surprised if a team thinks, you know what, I might take a chance on Cal.
Yeah, just as well from a Leamington front, obviously being on the other side of a 2-0 defeat. Spenny Van Christie, to reckon, looks all but relegation for Leamington. See, good bunch of people there. Shame to see them go. I mean, it is looking very bleak for them right now. I mean, 19 points from 31 games so far. And again, they're one of the clubs that have been punching above their weight for a long time, given their resources and some of the clubs they're up against in this division. But look, and obviously they've let a long-standing manager go as well. It was always going to be a tough task for them, wasn't it? But I think, look, maybe it's just one season too far for them, maybe at this level. What do we sort of think on that?
I think you're spot on, Ben.
Yeah, definitely. I think Maxwell's just alluded to the Marine result as well, which I believe was 2-0 at Oxford City. Again, Oxford's struggling at the bottom, the Marine keeping their playoff hopes alive. The Mariners keep marching on despite having a whole team's worth of players out injured. Bobby Grant working wonders in Crosby. Yeah, I know someone will be really pleased to see a Marine victory and keep it within sort of 3 points of those playoff places. I mean, Jen, look, we know the resources at Marine are probably not as as good as what your Files and South Shields are like. But again, like I said, they're only, I think, their second season at this level, Marine, and certainly proving their worth that they are more than capable of producing a playoff challenge. I mean, Bobby Grant, what a job he's done for them this season.
Yeah, he's done incredible this season. And like you said, they are a team that aren't like your South Shields and your Flides and your stuff like that. So they are up there, and they're proving the point that you don't always need to have huge money to be up there. And all you need is a good manager and a good set of players. And who knows where you can end up.
Definitely, yeah.
They're only, looking at the table, they're only 7 points off fourth as well, which I think if you'd have given that to them at the start of the season, they'd have absolutely snapped your hand off for that. And obviously they're still in the FA Trophy as well, so potentially going to be a really good season for them. Obviously we talk about Bobby Grant, but you have to give a credit to Neil Young as well, that's upstairs there. Bit of a surprise that he stepped away from the touchline last year after such a good job he did. But I think having his knowledge around the place, making the calls and backing a really good what looks to be a really good young manager, and Bobby Grant has proven to be a bit of a masterstroke.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a huge achievement for where they are at the moment. If they did sneak into that playoff place, their fans can give a dream. I mean, we've said it before, that the rise of this club, the last sort of 4 or 5 years since their FA Cup exploit, and they've put all the money to good use. In fact, they've got a new stadium on the way, so they've invested in a 3G pitch. It all seems to be going, their way at the moment, and it seems like maybe the sky's the limit for them at the moment. Who knows? There could be a National League Cup next year. I think that their fans probably don't want to put false hope in them, but they probably can start to dream a little bit now. I mean, look, they're at this stage of the season. I've also just seen Matt's comment as well, and I think Hereford do deserve a round of applause. They finally managed to get a couple of games on in the last week or so, although be it, it's not still going to plan for them at the moment, still sitting second from bottom in the National League North, but did get a win though against Darlington though last week. So there is clearly still fight, even though they haven't had the amount of games they would have hoped for, but it's still not quite over for them though. But there's a lot of work to do for them though, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time we've been on since obviously they made that appointment of Aaron Downs, obviously someone that I know well from his time at Torquay United. And look, I wish him well. He's gone in there with another fellow former Cheltenham legend in Harry Pell. Obviously, both played at Cheltenham in that team that won the National League, and Harry Pell actually used to play for Hereford. So 2 young coaches making their bow. Obviously, you know, I do wish Aaron Downs all the best. I think he's the sort of person that in their position you want, because he is someone that is so positive and so calm. Little bit like a swan. Even if the feet are flapping underneath, he'll be very calm on the outside. Yeah, obviously he got off to that good start and that win. But obviously lots of work to do.
Definitely. Graham's well put in the comments. I was at the M Group Stadium yesterday, Oxford City. Nice little ground. I'll never be a fan of a 3G pitch though. Graham, I thought you were one of my favourites. You're literally talking this to one of the people that've actually got a 3G pitch. So. But look, everyone has their different views in it, so we won't get into that one tonight. It might be a topic for another day. But yeah, Hereford's next home game is at the Six Ways Stadium. Which stadium's that? I can't even think of that at the top of my head.
Worcester?
Is that Worcester, is it? Oh, wow.
I think so, yeah.
I think they had to have a contingency plan in place, let's be honest, because look, the way that it's been going for them, they couldn't afford to have any more postponements. I mean, I've been looking at their fixture list. It is pretty much Saturday, Tuesday now to the end of the season for them, which is going to be a big ask for them. But look, sorry, go for it, Joe.
One player that I really want to just quickly touch on is a lad called Harry Tustin that's just signed for Hereford, who has come from Cheltenham, obviously a player that Aaron Downs will know well, and he had the first half of the season. You may have seen him, Ben, during obviously with your time at Maidstone, that he was playing at Salisbury. Ginger midfielder, only small but terrific player. When Torquay played at Salisbury and got our first away win, he was by far Salisbury's standout player. Really, really good player, really energetic. And great on the ball. So he's already getting rave reviews, even though he's only 2 games in at Hereford. So, yeah, nice to see him doing well.
I wish he was still there because we've got him on Saturday, so I could have given you some more detail on that, to be honest with you. But no, yeah, no, they have got plenty of work to do, but there's still a lot of games for them to play, and it's still got sort of the advantage a little bit. But obviously, physically, it's going to be a tough ask, but we'll see how we go on. Anything else anyone wants to touch on the National North? Or are we all quite happy? We're all sort of ready for standard, really, isn't there? Apart from that,
just a very quick one. Ratcliffe, just to say, well done, Bernard, on his own. Got a 2-1 win, and they're just nicely sitting in there and quite comfortable in 4th place, aren't they? Look, there's the table. I doff my cap to you on this one, Joe, because nobody else was predicting them to be in the top 7 this year, and you did, and they've certainly followed. What I haven't been able to find out is how is Jono getting on at Bury. He must have had 1 or 2 games in charge. I had a quick scan. I don't know if they played Saturday, did they?
Yeah, I know he got off to a winning start, and I think they won on the weekend. Yeah, I mean he will get a couple of his old players in there, and they'll be right in and amongst it. So it probably won't be long before we're covering Bury in the National League North section.
Currently top of their league at the moment, 4 points clear still of a lower break. They do have a game in hand though, so I think Avro as well played 2 or 3 games less, so still a lot to play for. But no, it'd be great to see their rise again. Look, I think we've mentioned how much of particularly I know Charlotte's a big fan of the games against Bury from a Rochdale perspective, so it'd be terrific to have them back in. I
missed my cousins are Bury fans as well, so it was always nice having that family rivalry.
Yeah, definitely. Their fans have suffered enough over the last 5-6 years, and they are needed to be back at least towards National North, and that's the thing. That should be what the aim for is at the moment. And obviously, the next big step would be the National League, but like I said, everything's in place for them, and they've got a good manager to do it as well. So hopefully they'll get on really well. Which brings us to the league table. So still sitting top of the National League North is South Shields with 68 points. Sitting in second place, just below him, is AFC Fylde on 66 points. Merthyr Town are third on 60 points. Radcliffe sitting fourth with 55 points. Kidderminster Harriers are fifth with 53 points. Scarborough are sixth with 52 points. And completing that top 7 is Macclesfield sitting on 51 points. And in the bottom 4, we have Oxford City sitting in 21st on 31 points. Alfreton Town sitting 22nd with 29 points. Hereford are sitting 23rd with 25 points. And bottom of the National League North is Leamington with 19 points. Bleak times there for Leamington. And that brings an end to the show. Now, I don't know how I've managed to get through that 2 hours of it. Like I'm still standing, I'm still surviving, and Shah, I think it's still in one piece. I think so.
I am. Thank you so much as well, Ben, because
That's
obviously it
okay.
was short notice and stuff. And yeah, just thank you. And thank you to all you guys on here too. I do appreciate it.
Definitely.
Well done. Well done
Thank
for
you.
making it, Shah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know, Shah, you've been really much under the weather and that, and even
Yeah.
still coming on and have you say and still come and help us out. No, we do really appreciate it. So thank you for helping
Thank
us in the
you.
background, because my God, this technology, I'd be absolutely no good with StreamYard. It's absolutely beyond me, to be honest. But Shah, we'll start with you. Where
Yes.
can everyone find you and your amazing content?
Yes, so I am Shah XREFC. That is on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. My channel is Ball and All with Shah. It's Ball and All _ on both socials that I have mentioned. But I will address the elephant in the room. I probably won't be streaming this week. I'll have a Let's Talk Rochdale very soon, but due to obviously trying to rest my voice. But fingers crossed, I will be on the Absolutely EFL show on Thursday, I'm hoping.
Yeah, definitely. I'll say if everyone hasn't checked out Shah's, channel and that, please go and have a look. So the content's been absolutely brilliant so far,
Thank you.
and engaging a lot of interest as well. I've even joined in on a couple of the streams before. So yeah, no, looking forward to seeing how where you can go next with it. Jen, where can everyone find you and your amazing stuff?
So it's Jen Hunt _ on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all them places. You can find me on there.
Yeah, brilliant. Rob, obviously from your perspective, where can everyone find obviously your stuff, and obviously NL Full Time with the amazing work you guys do, yourself, you, Joe, Dickie, and Christian as well.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Thanks for hosting today at NL Full Time on all your platforms, and our pod's just also out, as I mentioned earlier. Thoroughly enjoyed it, guys. Hope everybody has a good week, get some good results midweek, and look forward to doing it all again soon.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for joining us tonight. And Joe, where can everyone find you and your amazing blog that we all, like I say, we all love dearly?
Yeah, as you can see there, Off the Line blog on X, and not as frequent in terms of posts as I once was, but still try to get quite a few up.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say if everyone's got a chance to say, look, of course, Joe's scouting reports are second to none, to be honest. I'm surprised that we haven't sort of got him for yet, because we could do with a decent scout. So, but if anyone wants to find me, it's Ben Stones FC1 on Twitter. But the most important thing you want to find is where to find this amazing podcast.
Just really quickly, Ben, you deserve the credit. You deserve all the credit, because there's a lot of people saying how well you've done. So I wanted to get that out there first.
No, thank you, everyone. Like I say, I've tried to do the best I can with it. So it's not Shah. I know I'd rather have Shah doing this, but I'm always happy to step in whenever she needs me in her time.
Getting a pro now. You can host it now.
I don't know.
I'll just sit back and relax.
But of course, we always want to know where we can find all our amazing content. So it's the Absolute Football Podcast, and we are live 4 times a week. On a Monday, you can find us on Absolute Non-League Show, with obviously all us crazy bunch, obviously in collaboration with NL Full Time, every Monday from 8:30. And on a Tuesday, you can find Sam and all the team from the Premier League on the Absolute Premier League Show, again from 8:30. And then if you want to change up a little bit with some women's football, then Freya and Team Chaos are on Absolute Women's Show, again from 8:30. And then obviously the Rowdy Rabble with Shah. Hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll be okay for Thursday. We'll wait to see on that. If not, you'll probably have the lovely Ant hosting. So it's Absolutely Lower League Show again as well from 8:30. And of course, wouldn't be able to find all these places without all the socials. And so if you do want to find us, it's on Twitter at Absolute Ball Pod. YouTube is Absolute Football Podcast. Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast. On TikTok as well, again, Absolute Football Pod. Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Sky, Absolute Football, and on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. Make sure you follow us on all of them, because the support we get is absolutely appreciated from everyone. We're still continuing to grow, and still going to be looking to get out amazing content and that. We've now got a social media team together, so hopefully more stuff to come out over the coming weeks. And I mean, all I can say is, thank you very much to everyone for tuning in. Have a great weekend.
Sam.
And Sam as well. Yeah, thank you, Sam. Much appreciated. Join us tomorrow talking Premier League and the Sesco Express. I know there's going to be one happy man in the chat at least tomorrow. So maybe not Rebecca though if she's on. So I look forward to seeing your lovely faces on that. But leave to say, have a great week. Thank you very much for tuning in, and ciao for now. Bye bye.